Mommy, tell me about your life in England. You said your mom was the one that made money. Tell me about what your mom did and what your dad did.
My dad lost his sight during the war when an explosion. He was a night watchman, and a bomb blew up in the factory that he was working. He was an accountant earning good money at that time, and because the explosion damaged his eyesight, from then on my mum had to be the breadwinner and grow us up and feed us. And that was tough, very tough for her.
How old was he when he lost his eyesight? Were you already born?
Yes, I was born just about. I was born in 1945 when the war was ended, right? And there were bombs, still unexploded bombs in places. Hello.
Can you give me the key before I go to Osharad? In case Dad needs it.
Okay, we're just singing.
Sorry.
Go on, yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, so there was an explosion after you were born?
Yes. And from then on, our lives were crazy, where we had to have babysitters, and life was tough from then on, and it was a very hard growing up, not only because one parent was sort of disabled and took any job in any place to earn money, but we were put in a horrible Christian, hateful Jewish hate place. We were about 5 families in about 300 families of Christians who hated Jews. And our lives were a misery, I and my sister and my brother.
Right.
So that's why, for one reason, that I got married too young and wanted to get out of that place no matter what. I was lucky I found a religious yeshiva boy, because my mum, she opened a kosher butcher place, and she knew all the shoftim and the shomers, and that's how I found my husband.
Where did your mom have a business?
In Hackney, in Wells Street Market it was called, and I remember it was outside a bus stop, and everybody who was on that bus could see a big kosher sign and kosher in big writing. The only kosher shop in the whole of the place where you could buy kosher food and kosher meat.
And what were her hours?
Our hours, she would have to go. We had no cars. She'd have to go bus change twice to get to the place where they had wholesale meat and chicken, and come back with the van and do her business. And it was a hard life for my mum, bless her. And
She would take the bus to the meat wholesale place and then have the delivery truck come to her business?
she would come in the truck with the food and the stuff that she purchased from the wholesaler, and the shecht house where all the shachats were, and
So she would start from what time in the day, in the morning, and what time would she get home?
about 6:30 in the morning she would make our breakfast ready on the table before she left, and there was a dinner in the fridge for us, and when we came from school we helped ourselves to our dinner. We didn't stay in the school, they had tray for meals there, and then we weren't allowed to stay in the school, and that happened in junior school. After 11 years old, luckily there was a synagogue that handed out kosher meals in the lunch time, but it was about a 20-minute walk from my school, so we had to rush there, gobble up the food, and rush back to our class. But Baruch Hashem, we managed that way.
It costs money to go to get that food?
Some of it the government paid because they paid for the Christian food in the school. There was a canteen for people that couldn't get their children to come home because they were working. So anyway, it was all right. We managed.
What was the financial situation in your home?
Not so good, because first of all there weren't that many Jewish people that survived that were in England. England stopped Jewish families from coming there. They were closed unless you were ready to do domestic work, which servants or housekeeping. There were no jobs for Jews. You had to get somebody to sponsor you and make sure you had a roof over your head, and that was only a 6-month stay in the country. My mum was the eldest of her siblings, and that's why she was allowed to get out of Poland. The rest were too young, and they wouldn't accept Jewish families in England. Only domestic. You had to have a job waiting there for you to land up in England. So it made things difficult for people trying to escape.
How many siblings did Leah have?
4.
What, brothers, sisters? Do you know?
There was obviously Sylvia, Pearl, and Leba, and Menachem Mendel, which my brother was named after. Okay.
Oh.
There's the man.
Hello. Hello, Daddy.
A tough life we had. You are so lucky, you people, and always complaining. If you knew what we went through, my God, you'd never believe it.
What's happening? What happened?
I'm telling him what it was like to be a Jew amongst all the goyim there that hated our guts, and how difficult and hard it was for all of us growing up. You shouldn't know of the suffering that you went through.
Wow. So she left in what, 1939?
I'm not sure. I think, in the middle of... You see, they needed women in England because the men were soldiers. So they needed anybody that clean the roads, anybody that took away rubbish. Those type of people they needed.
Okay. Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, the England was bombed to pieces. London, there was very few houses, and we were lucky. We were given a place to stay,
Yeah.
because wherever you went in London, there was bombings, no buildings.
Where did you guys live?
We were given a newly rushed place to live in, Hackney. That was the only decent place that were.
What do you mean by given? Who gave you? They gave you...
The government. I mean, it was rental, like,
The Kamidar over there.
Yeah, it was renting.
What does that mean, Amidara?
Kamidar is a Jewish company, Israeli garment company that gives out to poor people and people who can't afford it.
So it was like homes like that, like through the government homes, government housing.
Government housing, but you still had to pay rent. Nothing was for nothing.
No, you pay rent, but of course nothing is for nothing.
Yeah,
Here
anyway,
also you have to pay rent.
I am just happy to be here in Israel, and I don't understand how people can be so
What?
horrid to each other here.
Well, it's just politics.
And God will correct this
Oh, we're
sometime.
gonna be corrected.
It's going to be a correction, a big correction here, but believe me, they won't get away with what they're doing. It's wrong. You know, for somebody to be in a Jewish country and hate being Jewish, it doesn't make sense.
I know they won't allow they won't allow the schools to teach Torah and stuff like that. The basics that Jews should know,
They teach it in schools here.
but they teach it in a very Chiloni way. It's a very Chiloni way. I'm telling you, they won't teach it properly. You're lucky you send your kids to a Jewish school.
Yes.
I was here in the schools. I know what it is. They want to make you Chiloni. What they call, mom called Jonas. Jews in name only.
Genos.
Genos.
Jonas.
Yeah, Jews in name only.
I got to see.
Well, it's not going to help them.